Well, a few of you may have seen this 2500 feature in one of our video diaries earlier this year, but it's now time to tell you all a little bit more about the exciting future of this car. I was asked to go and inspect it at auction, which I did on behalf of a customer, and following a sort of reasonably positive outcome of that inspection and his then successful bid, the car was delivered to the Classic Heroes workshop, which is where we are now. And following an extensive inspection of the car, the first phase of the workshop work has now been completed. Some of you guys may be surprised, if not a little shocked, to find out this glorious but quite modest 2500 E3 saloon is actually replacing the new owner's Z8 in his collection, and the Z8 will be joining us later this year and be put up for sale. The reason for that is simple, that after a bit of research it was found out that a 2500 actually ran in the 1970 Monte Carlo Rally, and as you know there's now a historic event, and because of that of course this 2500 gets an entry into the historic Monte Carlo, and that's why the car is here with us now being prepared for that event. And as I said, phase one is now complete. It's quite fun to think that BMW actually saw fit to name an M3 after the event that this car's actually being built for, the Monte Carlo. And a big part of obviously an event like that is reliability. So after that initial inspection and report was done, we've now finished phase one. And phase one was basically a complete and total mechanical rebuild of this car top to bottom. It's all about reliability. So under the bonnet, every single vacuum hose, fuel hose, coolant hose, servo hose, brake hoses replaced, electrical system both on the low tension and the high tension side gone through with a fine tooth comb, viscous fan coupling replaced, new thermostat, new water pump, suspension, everything, every ball joint, bush, steering, track rods, ball joints again replaced, gaiters replaced, driveline checked, prop shaft coupling, prop shaft bearing, hydraulics rebuilt, master cylinders, slave cylinders, etc. And then finally, the only modification at this point was the fitment of a Trag 265/6. Now the /6 is the overdrive gearbox, and the first sort of impulse was actually to put the 5-speed close ratio in, but so much of the event is long distance stuff, it was decided that that taller fifth gear would be more helpful for that event. So now it's ready to leave us, a couple of thousand miles over the summer, proper stress testing before coming back and having phase two completed. So everything we do as part of that second phase of work has to be done very, very sympathetically, because although it's being turned into a gentleman's rally car, this is actually a pretty special E3. Not just is it only 58,000 miles and a particularly good service history from new also, pretty well documented. The car is unwelded and unrestored. The interior is as new. I mean, this interior would be the envy of any E3 owner trying to restore a car today. So everything we do from the second phase of work on the safety side has got to be very sympathetic to ensure it can be removed from the car, putting it back to that completely original condition. So at the end of the summer we'll be discussing with the owner phase two of this project, which firstly, because a lot of the Monte Carlo is battled in snow and ice, will be a limited slip differential. We'll keep the ratio the same, but obviously that's essential for icy conditions. But it's primarily going to be about what level of safety, and that needs discussion. We're going to be talking about safety devices, roll cages, Recaro seats, harnesses, handheld fire extinguisher, additional lighting. We'll convert the additional H1 lights to HIDs, and then some additional driving lights as well to assist with nighttime driving. And once that all's done, we'll wish him best of luck. I just wanted to show you all how incredibly usable an E3 actually is. I mean, this car may be 47 years old, but you really would think nothing today of heading off to the south of France in this car, or, as I said, competing in the historic Monte Carlo Rally in it. So the only modification at this point in the build is 4 brand new Bilstein Sport shock absorbers, which do just, as I said previously, just give it that slightly firmer ride, but keeping the compliance that's important, especially for a rally car. And then this Getrag 265/6 overdrive gearbox, which just gives it that taller top gear. But when I drive along on modern roads today in an E3, I try and think back to what it must have been like if you were picked up as a passenger in one of these cars back in sort of 1970, 71, 72, and it must have been a shock, especially compared with the sort of contemporaries that were available at the time. I mean, imagine comparing this car with, I don't know, a Triumph 2500 PI or something like that, something similar at the time, and this German engineering must have been utterly just mind-blowing and superb for that time. They really are a wonderfully, wonderfully usable car even today.